I put together this brag book.
So it's just like everything you've ever done, like all like in a piece of paper, like a few pages or
It's
of
like,
actual
it's
book.
a legit book. Like I put together a book.
Man, if I had to put everything I've ever done into paper, it'd probably only be like maybe a page and a half.
Whatever. And I think that I've always tried to do things to make myself stand apart from other people.
Hunger for what?
Hunger for more.
I'm Ricky Ortiz, and this is another episode of the Hunger for More podcast. I have a special guest with me today, Blanca Abbud, who is my PEO. She's been a huge part of my growth in business, and I figured, you'd be a good guest to have on so we could talk about just, everything from your come up and to how you've helped me and how you've helped other people in business.
Yes, so, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody.
What's your title?
So my title right now is Vice President of Sales, and my company's Engaged PEO. And for those that don't know, which the question comes up quite a bit, is what's a PEO? People misspell it, mispronounce it, say PPO and all kinds of stuff. But a PEO is a professional employer organization. So we help companies set up professional services that most of the time owners or small businesses don't either have the resources, the capital to have internal employees to handle those areas, or just don't want to do it, so they outsource it.
That's pretty much how I was introduced to you, because I was in that boat of people that, I'm growing in business and I'm trying to do everything myself, and I think along the line somewhere I was like, man, like I gotta hire somebody to do like some of this stuff. I gotta find a resource that can help me, because there's so many moving parts when it comes to running a business the right way, at least. Definitely. There's like payroll and there's workman's comp and insurance and all sorts of, like, insurance is obviously one of the big ones, right? You got to be, covered and stuff. So you've helped us in a lot of different ways. I've told you, in person, but it's not just like from the business side of it. It's also more from like just in personal life side of it. You've been a huge, positive influence, in my life. You've I told you, you saved my life, like from the weight loss stuff, you've helped me, there. And then, you've always been somebody that I can bounce stuff off of, and I'll vent to you, you hear me out and you kind of know what I'm going through, because Definitely. You deal with this every day. You deal with this with tons of different types of businesses, right? And, food and beverage, I'm sure other businesses have their headaches and stuff, but, food and beverage is a little, it's volatile, it's fast-paced, it's super fast-paced, employees come and go rapidly. So it's you need somebody, I always felt like I needed somebody in my corner that I could lean on, and you've been great for that. So
thank you for saying that. That was so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And the point of being on this show is what I wanted to do with the Hunger for More was really talk about not just what we do and how we made money or found success and everything like that, but it's why? Why did you go this route? What was your start? So I guess my first question is, how did you get introduced to this business, to being a PEO?
Yeah, so everybody always asks me that, how did I start in PEO? And I always say, PEO found me. I didn't go looking for the industry. I didn't know what the industry was either. Also, the PEO industry itself is not very well known in Texas, but if you go East Coast or West Coast, it's everywhere. So Texas business owners are different. I always talk about that. They're very conservative, but the way it happened, which was such a coincidence, is I was a business banker at the time. I was working at a bank, and I was kind of just felt like I was stuck. I wasn't going to be able to do more. And I knew I was meant to do more. I didn't want to be working the lobby, working at a bank. Obviously, banking's so different now. But back in the day when I was a banker, you sat at your desk, 8 to 6, you didn't really get outside. And so I just was tired of working at the bank. I put the word out there, I'm a free agent, I'm looking. And somebody that I used to work in the field with when I was in medical sales called me one day and was like, hey, I have the opportunity of a lifetime for you. I just ran into one of my old bosses. I was having lunch, and she's looking for somebody just like you. She's told me, I think you need to speak with her and have an interview. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. We set up just a very casual lunch interview, and she hired me on the spot. So I still remember the interview because it was something that I hadn't done before, and they told me it was uncapped income potential. That's kind of what I was looking for. Where I was at, it was super capped. I had already reached the highest level at the bank. that I could achieve. So I was looking for an opportunity that would really be able to, that I could use my skills, right? Like I wasn't using all my skills at the bank. And I put together this brag book where I put together like all the emails and letters and my awards and things like that into this book. And I gave it to the area manager at the time. And she was like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a brag book that I put together on all my accomplishments and everything I've done, all my customers, I really try to go above and beyond for my customers always." And so I put that together and she was like blown away. She was like, "Nobody's ever done this before." And I'm like, well, there you go. So that book even got sent to like the district manager, and like people were like, "I have this book that you put together. Like, what is this?" I'm like, "It's my brag
So it's just
book."
like everything you've ever done, like all like in a piece of paper, like a few pages or
It's
a
like,
actual
it's
book in
a
book?
legit book. Like I put together a book. And like it took time to build that. And every time I would get like a really nice client email or a letter or an award, I would put it in this book.
Man, if I had to put everything I've ever done into paper, it'd probably only be like maybe a page and a half.
Whatever. You're like, it'd be this long. Just little things that meant a lot to me, or if I got a recognition or a certificate or something like an acknowledgement, I would put it in this book. And I think that I've always tried to do things to make myself stand apart from other people, right? So, and that's part of my success. My success, it comes from I go above and beyond and I do things that people wouldn't do. So right away when she interviewed me, she was like, "You got the job." Like, so I quit the banking world. I went into now PEO.
What exactly were you in banking?
So I was a business banker.
Gotcha.
So
So there's definitely an income cap right there. Because
Yeah.
I mean, there is some commissions in business banking, right? But
There is.
There's not. It's not like high commission rates. There's obviously like limits to.
And there was a
how big you go.
ceiling cap.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was working at the bank, my boss would be like, "Well, just stop selling. Like, you already hit the cap. Like, so anything above 300K in revenue, like, you wouldn't get paid on."
Jeez.
So, and I'm like, that's when I knew, like, that was not the place for me. I'm like, how is somebody going to tell me, like, to stop producing? Like, I'm a producer. And anything past that point, I wasn't getting paid on. So I would have to hand things off to somebody else so that they could hit their goal. And I'm like, what am I doing? And clients only wanted to work with me. Obviously, if I got a referral, they got referred to me. So they only wanted to work with me. So I just knew that that's not where I wanted to be. I was not going to get to where I wanted to be working at the bank. Got the job and started working in PEO 12 years ago. And
So you've been with Engage for 12 years?
no, I actually started at a company that got bought out and acquired. I was there for 7 years. That company went through mergers, acquisitions, then they became publicly traded. I was there 7 years, and I just learned that like there's this thing called the 7-year itch or something like that. I just learned this today, by the way. I was like, is that a thing?
I thought the 7 years was like divorce. Or like, that's for marriages,
The
ain't it?
7-year itch, I guess, could be for a lot of
Me and,
things.
me and Jessica, me and my wife, we
They're
joke
like,
about that all the time. Like the 7 year
7 years.
itch is like, oh man, we got 2 left. Like, let's make them good.
Let's enjoy
Well,
it.
just joke.
I guess it could be for a lot of things, maybe marriages, but they say like it's sometimes when you're in a company, working at a company, when you're there 7 years, you're kind of like starting to look at other
Yeah,
things.
other places, yeah.
So after I had gone through so many changes with this company and really opened up the San Antonio market for them, I made the Texas market successful for them. But it just got to a point where I wasn't working with integrity anymore. My clients
You're just
were,
doing your job.
I was just doing my job, but everybody else wasn't doing their job. I was doing my job. So I would have to pick up several different people's jobs, and clients were just complaining a lot. Clients were like telling me like, this company's going to ruin your reputation. Like, you should leave. And then I just started becoming very unhappy there. So I ended up quitting. The owner of Engage had reached out to me and told me, if you're ever looking, I would love to have you at my company. So Jay Starkman, he's the owner of Engage. And at first I actually told him no. Like, I was like, I'm not interested. I made a small move. I made a move to a smaller PEO company that was a really bad move. I don't even like to talk about it because it was so bad. This
Like
company,
bad isn't just poorly managed. It's kind of like not a good move.
everything, poor leadership, poorly managed. And they were not used to the deals that I work. A lot of times the deals that I work are very complex deals or multi-location deals or multi-state deals. They were not used to working complex deals. And it was just very obvious that I made the wrong move. I tried to stick it through like as much as I could, but I then was unhappy again. And I'm like, oh my, I was like, why? What did I do? I totally messed up. I made this move, and before I left that company, like they really fought to keep me, and I was like, no, I declined all the offers, and then found myself unhappy again. So I contacted Jay, and he called me right away. I said, here's my number. I'm not happy where I'm at. And he called me like within less than 5 minutes, and he was like, you're hired. Like we still have to do the formalities of the interview process. But
they
he's
knew
like,
obviously they knew about you, so they wanted you on, right?
yeah, right away.
But you're VP, so you're an executive in the company.
Definitely.
So did you start at that, or you started in sales and then you worked your way up?
No, I started as VP. So, so it was a move up for me. That other company, I was an executive as well, but it just was poorly managed in the leadership. Let's just say it was like a good old boy club.
Yeah.
And
it's Texas, so
exactly
tons of those clubs.
Tons of those clubs. I didn't want to be a part of that club.
Well, okay, so I'm curious now more of the come up, because I mean, obviously you went from banking and then you're sales driven. I mean, you're a hustler. I mean, you're a salesperson, right? You're a saleswoman. So like you definitely have. I've seen that side of you. I mean, when I met you, you're sales. I reached out to you. I was like, hey, I know you do these things. I'm interested. And of course, I played hardball and stuff like that. And I I can. But before that, like, what is the worst job you've ever had previous to banking?
Oh,
like, what did you do? You were like wait tables, anything like that?
I never
like,
waited tables. I've been in sales all my life since I was 16.
So what was your first sales job?
My first sales job was retail clothing sales. I worked at the Buckle, and I was commission clothing sales.
One of my first retail jobs was besides Little Caesars for like 2 weeks was Foot Locker. And you get commission on shoes. Yeah, I was banking on shoes.
I was banking.
Like we'd sell. Like I remember it was like they did a special for like a year or two, and it was like if you sold insoles, you get $5 every insole, because Foot Locker owned the insole company, right? So like it was big.
Nice.
It was an insole is foam, like it's all profit, So the insole is $20. You sell a pair of Jordans, you're like sell the insole.
Sure.
Man, I think I had like the record in insole sales like ever.
For sure.
Yeah, like I sold hundreds like within a month. Anyway, but that's funny. So Buckle.
The Buckle. I was a Buckle girl. And I knew since day one, like, that I was meant to be in sales. Like, I started getting repeat customers at the Buckle that would only work with me, that I would dress. Obviously,
isn't
I
that like a
fashion.
surfer store type? Like, what is that? What do they sell?
It
They
has
sell like cargo
changed.
shorts and
okay,
like.
so back when I used to work there, it was Urban. They had
Okay.
Urban gear. Like, they used to have all the Urban
like
brands.
Urban, like street people.
Fubu, Aniche, Echo. Like, they sold all the brands that
Did you wear
don't even
Fubu?
exist anymore. I did not wear Fubu.
Okay, I was
but
just
I
checking.
did wear
It's okay.
Echo for girls, like Echo Red, they called it. And I still have some of the Echo Red stuff, believe it or not. I still have some of the stuff. It has definitely changed. The Buckle's not the same. I go in there and I'm like, this was my first job. Like,
So where was the pivot?
different.
You went from what other retail jobs did you have, and then like when
so
did it start going like banking?
I did all retail. So I was in college when I got my first job. I graduated high school at 16. I started college at 17. So I mainly did retail just because I worked with my school schedule. That was my priority. I wanted to get my degree. I did retail while I was in college just because that's what worked with my schedule. So after I did that, I sold TVs for a while.
Where
I
at?
sold at Best Buy. I was in the home
Oh man,
theater.
y'all had a good discount.
And I was in the boom room. Oh yeah.
Yeah, what was it? 5% over cost?
Oh man.
It's something really low.
Really low.
My sister's boyfriend used to work at Best Buy. Yo, I would milk that discount. They
Yeah,
would be
the
like, "How are
discount
you
was
buying
good.
all this stuff?" I remember we were buying like TVs, washers, dryers, like all these big appliances on his discount. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I worked really fun jobs. At the time, it wasn't really about like, I wanted to make this my career. It was just having fun, and I liked to sell, and I was doing really well. I was getting recognitions. I was MVP in sales. I was employee of the quarter, employee of the season, employee of the month. I mean, I was always recognized in sales.
But
since I was young.
what drove the I guess the hunger to be in sales? Like why always sales? I mean, like when you were a kid, like it had to have been wired in you somewhere along the lines. What made you want to be in sales? What
So I didn't know that that's what I was supposed to be until I got my first job, and I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. But I'm Lebanese. Like people say, like I'm Mexican and Lebanese. It's in my blood. And Lebanese people or the Phoenician people invented trading. They were the first people to invent trading. So I always say it's in my blood. They're naturally good business savvy people. They're good in sales and they're hardworking, right? So I kind of have the characteristics of my mom and my dad.
You're Lebanese on what side?
On my dad's side. So Lebanese on my dad's side, and my mom is Mexican, but her roots are more like from Spain. but she was born and raised in Mexico.
That's dope, man. Lebanese people have good food.
Hey, Lebanese people do a lot of good
I do.
things.
You know, I grew up in Chicago, and like the
Yeah.
one thing, as not San Antonio or anything like that, but the one thing I don't like about Texas is that like it's not really a melting pot the way other cities are. Like being in Chicago, like there's an actual Lebanese neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Nice.
There's
I
actual
didn't know
neighborhoods for like pretty much almost any, the nationality.
I didn't
You
know
know, we grew up. Actually, I grew up in more of an Indian / Pakistan neighborhood. So I was like, the Indian Pakistan food, love it. Like, just grew up around
love
it all
Indian
the time.
food,
San
for
Antonio,
sure.
it's like you have to find it. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of spots. But anyway, food stuff.
So I don't know. I would say it's in my blood. Like to answer your question, I didn't realize that this was my calling until like I actually did it, and then I'm like, wow, like I'm really good at this. So I just went with it. And every single job that I've had in my life was through another job. Like some manager, some owner saw me and they wanted
So
to hire
how
me.
did you get into banking then? Like at what point was the shift from like your average retail job, like
To-
selling TVs, to like banking and
So I
business
went
financing?
after I graduated college. I actually went into car sales. Believe it or not, I did car sales for a while.
Where at?
In El Paso. I'm from El Paso, Texas.
But
so
what kind of cars though?
Ford. So I started
Okay.
selling Ford, and at the time they had Mercury, so it was a Ford Lincoln Mercury dealership, Casa Ford, in El Paso. I would say that's where I really learned my negotiation skills.
Hold on. Did you ever do a car commercial?
I did not.
Okay, because you have Texas car commercial vibes.
Yeah,
so I was like, I had to
did
know. It's like,
not.
because if you did, we're gonna find it. We're gonna put
Where's
it
the
on
car
show.
commercial? I wish I did. No, but I mean, at the time, even car sales was different. I think sales has just evolved, especially with technology. But I wouldn't walk around competitions like where you would display and show a vehicle the right way. So I would win competitions like that all the time. And I was a rookie in car sales going up against like guys that have been selling
Seasoned
cars
guys.
for like 20, 30 years.
Man,
So
car sales is rough, man. My sister,
Car sales is rough.
Naomi, my sister, she worked in car sales for I don't know, like 10 years or something
car
like
sales
that.
is rough. Yeah.
Like the culture is rough. It's like not one, selling vehicles is a tough job. You got to earn your check. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work on that end, right? You got to be a hustler. You got to be consistent. There's good months, bad months, all that stuff, right? But the culture of car sales is like, have you ever seen that movie, The Goods?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah. It is exactly like that.
Exactly.
It's exactly like that. So I feel like, damn, you.
So
you
that's
must
why
be
I'm
tough.
like, nothing scares me. I sold cars.
No,
I'm
you
like,
gotta be tough as fuck to work in car sales, man. You gotta like really
Yeah.
like have thick skin and all that stuff. But that's funny because like I talk to my wife about this stuff all the time, about even though I'm a business owner and I'm in the food and beverage stuff and I get the food truck parks and all that stuff. It's like, I'm in sales. I mean, I sell a product, right?
Obviously,
I
yeah.
sell
A
myself.
brand
I
now. Mm-hmm.
sell a brand. I sell spaces to food truck owners, to other business owners and stuff like that. I have to sell myself. I have to sell my brands and my everything to make money, right? And then I also have to sell the products that we carry, right? So, but I still like, even with all the shit I got going on, as busy as I am, I still want to be in car like sales. I want to like, man. I told Jess, I'm like, I want to go sell Benzes or like Porsches or something.
okay.
She's like, okay.
part time.
Like part time, like just like part time. I want to go sell Benzes or Porsches because
Yeah.
I'd be really good at it. I'd be like the best. I'd be the best salesman.
If you really get into it and you learn about the vehicles and you become a product expert and you take it
For sure.
to a different level, it's actually a great career. And I mean, that is a career, right? Car sales is a career. The hours are grueling. Car sales people get such a bad rap. Obviously, they're good and bad ones, but it's a hard job. Like, I mean, the hours are like 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes closing the month out is like
So I
till
want Benz
midnight.
because they leave at 6.
Right. Well, there you go. Yeah. I think that, again, car sales has changed and evolved, and they obviously are doing more online sales. But
sure.
when I did it, I mean, people had showers in the dealerships because they slept and ate
For real, in the
and
back
did
they had
everything.
showers?
In the dealerships, yeah. All the old school dealerships have showers in rooms, and they slept and ate and took showers there. Like, I mean, it's a hard job.
No, for sure.
So after car sales, I actually then started renting cars. So I went to a enterprise rent a car. So all these jobs kind of led up to my training that I got. So they all had very good training programs. Like Enterprise Rent a Car is known to have one of the best training programs in the industry. People know that. The dealership that I worked at had an amazing training program. So I just started picking up all these little things from all these places that I worked. And then I got into banking, again, just through somebody that I knew. Did a similar thing with the brag book thing. I actually put a business plan together for the bank and showed them how I was going to increase their sales. And they were like floored. They're like, nobody's ever created a business plan for an interview. So, and I said, yeah, so if you hire me, that's how I'm going to increase your sales at the bank. And they were like, okay. So I
That's
got
crazy.
my
Now
banking
that-
job.
I've done the exact same tactic, but I'm not very organized like you. Like I suck at organization skills, for like papers and writing things like that. I mean, I don't even really have a good reading level. I mean, I barely passed the ninth grade. Actually, I didn't pass the ninth grade.
What?
Eighth grade is my highest school
Really? I didn't know
level
that
of
about
education.
you.
Yeah, yeah. I got my
Wow.
GED, and then that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have like a couple little college courses under my belt, but nothing fancy. But anyway, I remember getting a job one time. I put together, I did videos and stuff, so I put together. It was for a performance shop called Performance HQ, and I'm like, they reached out to me like, hey, like we have a marketing position open. We really need somebody, but can you put something together? So I went in, shot a video, and this is back like in 2014 or 2013. And nobody had cameras back then, or even like none of the fancy stuff. So I put together this badass commercial, literally like in an hour. Right, shot this, shot that, put it together on my computer, and then the owner happened to be there. I'm like, yo, this is what I do, and he's like, okay, cool. What's this gonna cost me? And then we went in and negotiated a salary. So it was pretty. It's funny because like I've told you, it was like I think you remind me of me, like you know what I'm saying, but like obviously in a you're a woman, and
I was
you're
as a female.
and you're more of a professional. You know what I mean? I'm more of like the hustler kind of like side of it, like no school, no nothing,
Yeah.
just doing it. But like the ambition that I see from you is like I pay attention to a lot of the stuff that you do, and you're hungry, man. You like really like push it. You know what I'm saying? Like I always see your stories on Instagram. You're always out there, like traveling and meeting new clients and selling the product, right? But to go into that a little bit, so now you're PEO, and you help businesses with, I guess, a lot of the employer resources that they need, insurance, like we talked about, A to Z, all of it, right? You're a good resource, but I want to know, like, I guess, give me an example of, like, what's some, like, a big problem that you've had to fix. You know, the name no clients, obviously, like, for their privacy, and you can even use me if you want as an example. But, like, give me an example of, like, the craziest shit you've ever seen a business owner do and what you had
Wow.
to do to come in and fix it.
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. I have, in the past 12 years, I have seen pretty much every type of business, from very well established to running well, where they're just trying to control costs, to cleanup, what I call them cleanup jobs. So they'll hire me to go in there and clean up their operations. From people embezzling internally
Jeez.
to, their operations are just falling apart. The owners, a lot of times I deal with generational businesses. So if it's second, third generation, a lot of times that third generation is just not really caring about the business anymore. They either want to sell, they want to just get it ready to sell, or they're just not involved in the business. There's owners that are really involved, some that are just super hands off. So I feel like the ones that really do well is where the owners are involved. And if it's going to be second, third generation, which can still be successful, those kids and their grandkids have to really be involved in the business and really just love the business. Not all the time does second, third generation want to run the business. So I think also business owners are, there's a misconception about business owners, and like they have it all, they have it easy, and like they don't really know and understand. They don't get to see the business owners like I do, like through their depression, through when they're going through hard times, when they're struggling, like when they can't make payroll. I mean, I see it all, and their families get torn apart. They're not with their families. They're always working. I mean, it's a hard thing. And so yes, I sell PEO, but I like to be known as more of just a general business consultant, because I bring resources for everything, and I'm also the therapist, and they vent to me, and I really wear a lot of hats and it's like it's an adventure, right? Every day for me, it's like I'm on a field trip, and every day for me is an adventure. You really never know what's gonna happen. I get calls all the time. I recently had a really sad thing. I had a client that took his life, so again, like and that was really hard. You'd never know what the business owners are going through. And so I feel like that's a misconception of people, that they don't really know and understand what it has taken for them to build that business up, to get to where they're at. And then, of course, I have like startup companies. Like I just had a meeting this week. I was so proud. It's almost like if I'm raising a baby with my startups, because really it's like,
I mean, it is, yeah.
I
It really
take
is.
them from infancy stages, like they're little babies, to now like they're teenagers, and I took a company from 5 employees to 30 employees. I've done it several times. I've done it over and over. I've taken from 40 to 80. I've taken companies all the way up to really scale their business and make their business thrive. And that's really what the concept is of PEO. It's like everything that is not revenue generating, that is just on your plate that you don't want to deal with. We try to take it off your plate, and we make sure you have the peace of mind that you're compliant, you're doing things right, you're not going to get sued, you're not going to get penalized, and you can focus on growing the business. So we try to take as much stuff off of the owner's plate as possible. And yes, I throw in my little things here and there. Like, I like to make sure my owners are healthy. So I throw in my own personal things that I do for my clients just because I care about them. Like, I actually care about them. And
yeah, I mean, you are a therapist. I mean, I remember, I don't even know how it came up, but, one of the big things that I told you I'll never forget, and, my wife is very happy and appreciative of my family is in general. But, like, I really think you saved my life. I told you that, you know what I mean? Like, I was getting bad, you know what I mean? I was at 275. I was having heart issues. I was having liver issues. I mean, also gastrointestinal, all sorts of stuff, and you introduced me to the semaglutide shots, and that, like, just changed the whole game for me. The low T stuff, I mean, all that stuff. And I'll say it, I'm not embarrassed about none of it, because I feel like to actually have those types of issues and be like, almost 38 years old and start to have like these types of scares where I literally feel like I'm going to die every day. You know what I mean? I wake up feeling like I could have died in my sleep because I'm not sleeping right. I got sleep apnea. I got a whole long list of stuff. And then, you just told me straight up, like, have you tried this? And then you introduced me to Optimal MD, and I went and started the treatment with them, and in less than a year actually it's a year to date almost, and I've lost 70 pounds on the dot. You are a huge resource, like on a personal level, not just in business. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that a lot. You know what I mean? But I think the reason why I wanted you on here also is because, like, to talk more about that. I mean, being in business, there is a lot of like misconceptions about it, right? Like, people just think like Instagram and social media makes it seem like all we're doing is just fucking making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people, especially with me, I get it a lot, and it's a weird thing to hear, but when, because I get messages sometimes and it's like, man, you're so inspirational, you're so this, you're so that, like, I look up to you, can you please, like, ask me questions about, what they should do, and they see my success and stuff, and some people even make it sound like it was just like this quick, easy thing, because that did happen fast. I mean, I've only been in business for 3 years to date. I think in May it'll be 3 years, so it is fast, right? But I feel like I'm not like a common, thing to see. You know what I mean? In business, you see the realer side of it, what the average business owner goes through, and like you said, I mean, I've dealt with it where, even just this last summer with having a downtrend in the year in the middle of opening up 2 businesses because I thought it was big shit, right? To get my ass handed to me and like be struggling and barely be able to make payroll. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's when we come in as your partner. So that's another like beauty of our industry, is that we're not just a vendor. We do partner with the business owner and the client. So we're, in essence, we're a co-employer, but we're your business partner. So if you do poorly, then we're doing poorly. Like, it's, if you do good, we do good. So that's part of the beauty of the relationship. If something happens to you, it happens to us, right? Like, you're held liable, we're held liable. So we want to make sure that you do well. So it's a partnership. But you said something earlier about the success thing. Like, I think a lot of like my hard work, like when I really, really did a lot of the hard work, like, social media was not that big. So it's not like I documented like a lot of this. I started documenting it more when social media, got big. But nobody really sees like the hours that I put in. I think only the people that are really, really close to me know, like, I am just crazy about what I do. Like, sometimes I don't sleep, I take naps. I call them naps because I'm sleeping 4 hours a day because I have to wake up to work on a proposal, to work on something for my client. Like, people don't see that, right? They don't see how hard I work, how much I travel. Like, I cover the whole state of Texas, so I'm commonly like living out of suitcases. I'm living out of hotels. Like, I'm trying.
So you'll be like in Houston and then Dallas and then like back here, like all within a week or something like that, just bouncing around.
And it's not easy. Like, traveling for work is not easy. And
Texas is big.
Texas is a big state, and a lot of it has to be done also in driving, and driving is hard. And and managing all those things is hard. So I think that people don't, like you said, they see the success, they see you making money, and that's what they think. And only the people that are really close to me see that, the other side. Because I break down. I also have bad days. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I cry. I'm like,
You never see me cry, but you've seen me stress.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I have my friends and my support group that's there for me, but I have those moments too.
Like when I think about it now, after you said that, I have a support group. My family is my support group, right? I have a handful of friends, right? But my friends are different. Is different. Like I don't really have many friends that I could bounce business stuff off of or even talk to on that level because it's just not they're not in that life, right? Like a lot of my friends aren't even business owners, they're creatives. Like I have a lot of creative friends, you know what I'm saying? Or one of my best friends he's in insurance, but he's also like a rapper from back in the days.
Oh.
Like, yeah. So
The insurance rapper.
But when it comes to, you've actually been one of the people that I can actually like talk to, like if something's going on in the business, because I mean, you see you handle a lot of the stuff that I deal with, right? And really, like, I think with all my big headaches or like really stressful times, you've actually been there because you're like you said, it's like a partnership. You know what I mean? Like you help me with a lot of my employer needs. And yeah, like, so you're like my only friend almost.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you and maybe a lawyer and Shannon, Shannon
I
with
love
insurance, Dan
Shannon.
K.
I see them tomorrow.
Yeah, my insurance people with Dan K and Shannon.
Shout
They're
out to
like,
Dan K
like
and Shannon.
if anything is ever going wrong, it's like I gotta talk to you or I gotta talk to Shannon. Like those are the two people I can like. I gotta, and my bookkeeper. Stuff like
It
that.
takes time. I mean, I would say I'm blessed to have a good circle of friends and support group, but that's because I befriend most of my clients. And then now my circle of friends is business owners and executives or people in the industry or other, or insurance people. But I will tell you that the first sign of not a good partner, because I have a lot of partnerships that I build, like Dan, and, I have a lot of good partnerships. But the first sign that I see that they're not a good partner, like I will pull them. I'm like, if first sign that they either don't do right by my client, they don't follow through on what they say, like I will pull them. I will not work with them. And so it's like you're getting a chance, like show me that you can do this. Show me that you're gonna do right by me, you're gonna do right by my clients, and if not, like I'm not gonna work with you, and I don't have a problem doing that.
No, super important.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's your
Well,
it's
some
your name.
people can't do that.
If you referred me to somebody and they played me or something
is
like
my
that,
name.
I wouldn't take it personal against you, but it would tarnish like
Absolutely.
the quality of referrals that you give, right? It'd be like, oh, never mind. Like because it's super important. You're talking about big money. I mean, like insurance referrals. I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. You know what I mean? More. Sometimes hundreds of thousands.
Millions. I've
millions
negotiated
of dollars in
$1 million,
insurance.
yeah, in insurance.
It's a lot, and that's what people don't get. I think, with when it comes to the business side of things, it's like, especially in the food truck culture, because it's such a easy entry, point for a new entrepreneur, a new business owner is like food truck. It's like, okay, cool, I bought a truck and I'm going to go sell food. But they don't understand that there's still a lot of headaches that you got to deal with, a lot of red tape, a lot of legal stuff. Just because you're on wheels and you had 30K to open up this business doesn't mean that you're immune to like the IRS or the workman's comp and Texas workforce and all these things.
Audits.
It's like, I'm not putting no one's name out there, but I've seen it multiple times, and I know you've seen it plenty of times where people are not paying their employees properly, or they're maybe paying them an hourly wage, but then not paying them the tips that they work that they collect in the truck all the time. And I'm like, it's funny because I'm not a PEO. I'm just a food truck park owner, right? But when I see it, like I have to say something. It was like, guys, like you're gonna get like your ass handed to you. I'm like, the government does not give a shit if you didn't know, right? Like ignorance is not an excuse. You know what I mean? Like you have to be compliant.
Absolutely.
And you got to know what you're getting into. Is like, because one, it's like you're stealing from your employees, but two, like that's one bad side of it. That's not the worst thing that's going to happen. You know what I mean? You see it all the time. I'll say Black's Barbecue because it made Texas
By the
news.
way, I'm making a story about that. I
Yeah,
did.
it's important. Yeah, you got to. I told you, like you got to talk about these things.
Coming out.
Like like I said, it's just like people. They get into business and they have no business being in business. Like it's like if you're not going to do the legwork and the homework, to be compliant and run your shit the way it's supposed to, it's like save yourself the headache from, getting in trouble or ruining your life or
Definitely.
even just being a bad boss, being a bad employer. So anyway, I know those are the types of things that you have to deal with and stuff like that, because being a co-employer, right? You deal with a lot of like the compliance stuff and like the liability side of it, right? To protect the companies from getting sued.
I have clients that don't listen. I give advice all day long, even on health stuff. Like, you were one that actually listened to me, but I have clients that don't listen to me, and they're end up getting sicker and sicker. So not everybody listens to the advice, by the way. But it's hard because sometimes I don't want to let a client go, and they're a good client, and we become friends. But because they're not listening to the advice, they're not working with integrity. I always say, like, if you work with integrity and you do what's right, good things will come to you. Like, work
sure.
with integrity, like, be honest. Another thing people really like about me when they work with me is, like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not
People
going to
don't like me for that.
I know. Most people don't like to hear the truth. Trust me, I've gotten so much hate for that. And I'm like, I'd rather tell you the truth. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like, I'm just not that way. I don't operate like that.
You've seen that side of me to where in the very early on into our business relationship, where I'll be like, I'll hit you with like, I don't see value in that type thing. Because I've, like sometimes, man, like it's hard. I'm a hard person to sell to. I'm not good with salespeople. And it wasn't until like you talk to me on a real level, like where, what I'm saying, you're being honest about things. And I think about it, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to stick with this. I think I'm going to write it out and make this thing work and stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't regret staying with Engage, continuing to work with you, because I haven't had any issues. I don't have any problems with Texas workforce or any pending cases or any. I'm not getting sued by anything on that side of it, because I'm compliant and I sleep good at night.
And that's what
I feel like
yes.
I feel like most business owners, and I say most, I mean it's a solid percentage of them. I mean a majority. Like so many people are trying to like just play the system or try to play the system or just completely be ignorant to like the what's really the potential issues and liabilities and things like that, or just save money by being shady. And it's like I feel like you got to live looking over your shoulder all the time, right? Like it's more stressful to not be compliant than to be compliant.
I mean, I've gotten in very uncomfortable conversations with owners where I'm like, that's not compliant. You can't do that. And they're like, well, you can't tell me what to do. I'm like, okay, but we won't partner with you. Like, so you either change it or that's it. So it has gotten me in even arguments with owners.
Oh, of course, I'm sure.
So, yeah, it's not a comfortable thing. Like, people don't want to hear the truth. People don't want to do that. They want to figure out a way to play the system, but hey, the system usually wins. And IRS they don't play.
No,
So,
I think those are the only people I fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't play. So, it's overall the job itself, like, it takes a toll on you. Like, I love what I do, but then it mentally, like, can be very draining. Like, I come home mentally drained sometimes.
I can't imagine, because now that I think about it, like, man, sometimes like I just want to give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I really do. I mean, like sometimes, dude, the last 6 months was rough. I mean, 7-8 months, right? Like I said it earlier. I tried opening up 2 businesses, and you saw it during the summertime. I'm here like trying to cut costs. Like, I'm looking at every dollar going out because I'm bleeding cash. I mean, I'm spending $20,000-$30,000 a week, trying to get these other 2 off the ground. And then I was dealing with like legal issues, like permitting issues at Acachula, with alcohol variants. The building wasn't zoned for it, and my lawyer missed it. 3 people missed it. We all missed it. Anyway, that put me through it. That basically pushed my opening back 5 months, and that's when I started bleeding money like crazy. I mean, so much money.
I would say this past year, 2023, was a hard year for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, it was
I had
rough.
several that didn't make it.
Lots. We almost didn't make it. I was getting scared. I was like, literally, I was like, man, I'm okay. I might have to cut off a couple legs. I'm gonna have to cut off both my legs just to save El Camino and Besame. I might have to like go through whatever I'm gonna go through with Perfect Tender and Acachula to save myself and at least keep my babies, right? But it gets scary. I mean, as a business owner, I mean, like you said, depression and fear and all that stuff. I mean, me and Jess were just like white knuckling it all year round, and we're lucky to have a good support around us, and and all that stuff. And I'm also I'm like resilient. Like, I mean, I'm a hustler. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna figure it out one way or another. But it got close.
Just imagine that times.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't imagine
people.
what you got to go through, because it's
all
like,
going through something. And that's why I'm saying every day is an adventure. I never know what's going to happen to somebody.
like, how do you sleep at night?
Plus
Because
all
like,
their employees.
because I get, yeah,
I
you
don't.
don't have the full financial burden of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I go out of business, you're not going to go out of business. You know what I mean? Like, but it does hurt in some kind of way. You lose a client, that's
obviously.
revenue, that's less revenue for the company, all that stuff. I understand there is some effects that
I take
happen
it
from it.
personal, you know.
But it's got to be hard on you.
It's hard on me. It's hard on me when a client calls me. It's like I'm closing the doors. It's hard. That's hard on me. Like, where did we go wrong? Like, how could we have supported you better? And a lot of times it's not something that we did, but it is hard on me because again, like I build very personal relationships. So with the owners, so it's like, or they're crying and their business that they wanted it to be successful is going out of business. And so they're emotional. I get emotional. Like, it's a hard thing. It's not an easy thing.
What would you say? You've seen a lot of things happen with businesses when they go under. What do you say is the most common reason for that? You think it's owner like negligence and kind of like bad business moves, or is it like because people? I think sometimes like 2023 they want to blame the economy.
Yeah.
But if you think from the stories that I've seen on my side, I feel like it's just a lot of bad moves.
I would say the ones that I've seen recently is they don't have the right people in the right place. They cannot build the right team. And so the owners also can't do everything. And so they put people in certain positions or places, and those people make major mistakes. Or they're not producing, they're not doing their job, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. The owner's trusting that the so-and-so person's supposed to be doing this, and they're not for months and months.
It's usually with money, right?
Yes. And I mean, I had one where somebody was put in a position that didn't have the experience, made a very bad mistake, caused the company $200,000. They couldn't come back. They couldn't bounce back from it. And same thing, we start looking, okay, where can we cut? Where can we cut? What can we do? I'm all about like, okay, it's time to buckle down. Let's get lean. Where can we get lean? And sometimes even that won't help, so that one bad mistake, right, that you thought it was going to go well and this person made the mistake and you were not overseeing it because you trusted that person to make that decision. They made the wrong decision. That's where the business will fail.
Can you share what position that was?
I don't want to say. It just
Well,
was
some
a
of the
manager,
company-
a supervisor position. I mean, you could say general manager, production manager. You
Gotcha.
could say
So somebody in charge.
yeah, somebody in charge, right? So not having the proper people and being able to trust them. And it's like, right, then that goes to where there's a lack of labor, there's a lack of talent. The talent is getting paid well and they're not going to move. So where do you get this talent? You have to build it. You have to train it. Like, it's lack of talent and the employer's not being able to find the right team members. And they're going through all these bad people. And while those bad people are there, they're making mistakes. Again, the owner can't do everything, right? So,
No, I know that firsthand. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it's like-
that's the one thing that I try to tell other business owners when they see what I'm doing. It's just like, I had one more recently. Guys running the business kind of like shit, and I'm pretty honest about it. And I'm like I'm doing it out of love, really. I'm like, yo, I don't want to see you fail, man. It's like you got to focus on this. You got to do this. You got to do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you because like if you fail, like I can replace them. I can replace them, but I don't want to see them fail. They got too much on the line to just let some certain things just go unnoticed or not try to fix it. And he's like, I'm just one guy. I'm like, and I'm just one guy. I'm like, how do you think that I have 4 restaurants, 4 bars, 4 businesses? I got like almost 50 employees. I'm soon to have over 50 employees, which is going to be another set of headaches. And I'm going to figure.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I'm going to figure.
Are you ready for that one?
Yeah. That's. I know when you hit the 50, it gets more expensive. But I'm gonna get creative with it. Anyway. But,
Take that off the record.
leave it on. It's fine as long as it'll be legit. But anyway, that's the one thing that upsets me the most with that upsets me is just like it concerns me the most with other business owners with the excuse that I'm just one person, and they can't figure it out. I think for me what sets apart the good business owners from the bad ones is who's able to delegate, who's really, like you said, building a team and putting people in position. You know what I'm saying?
You have good team members though. Your team's pretty awesome. Your
Yeah,
long term.
hell yeah.
Your team's awesome. Well, not everybody has been able to build that awesome team, so they're lacking a lot of key positions,
because they don't want to pay for it.
and that could be very
Usually from what I've seen is because
yes. you're
either they
probably
don't know
right.
how to find people, which is also very common. I'm just like, it's called Indeed, man. Pay for
Yeah.
a post and
Yeah.
get real resumes and interview real people. And for me, I haven't had to do that much because the core people that in my team have either one been with me for 3-4 years already, or if I've had to hire them, I'm getting them through just building them up from the ground up. Luckily for me, I mean, mostly everything is in house. You've taken away a lot of the headaches for me because we have a good system, we have a good payroll system. Being compliant and knowing all the stuff for compliance on payroll and employee stuff is easy because literally just call you and ask. Or call the lawyer and ask, right? So there's a lot of resources there. Payroll, aside from actually having to pay it, is not even a headache.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
making the payroll payment.
Making the payroll payment is another thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's like the restaurant is like pushing like $12K a week. I'm like, okay, we got to figure something out here.
Well, and that's a good point to bring that up. So the things that I deal with are the highest cost things in a business. Payroll being number one.
Payroll is the number one.
Payroll's the number one. And that's where it all starts. And that's the things that I have to talk about. Like I'm talking your highest expense areas in your company.
Year one for me was like $900,000 payroll in 1 year.
Payroll. If you guys haven't heard that, we said it like 100 times.
It's a lot. Payroll. Where you're going to lose the most money in business, and I've told this to a lot of people, is your employees. 1, through payroll, and 2, through employee theft, loss, negligence, all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
If my employees, if people ain't stealing from me, they're breaking shit. If they ain't breaking shit, they're just messing things up. They're messing drinks up. They're messing, it's
That's
typical.
exactly right.
I'm not blaming
exactly
them.
right.
I love most, half of my employees, but
Half.
like,
50%.
yeah, I love 50% of them, but they're the most important part of the business, but they can also be the what breaks you.
Absolutely.
Cost you tons of
That's
money.
exactly what I think happened, or what I know happened to most of the companies that didn't make it.
What would you recommend to business owners, like, I guess, tactics and ways to operate to keep employees happy?
So I think one of the biggest things, and one of my specialties, is employee benefits. And I think that's still going to be the number one attraction and retention of employees. We were just talking about the tech companies and the tech boom that's going on right now. Like if you don't have top-notch benefits, you're definitely not going to attract the talent and to keep them happy. I mean, those companies are going above and beyond and giving free benefits to them and the whole family. So I would say
That's crazy. That's expensive.
it's crazy expensive, but that's the boom.
I tried
that's
it.
The nature.
Couldn't afford it.
That's the nature of that industry. It's also more of a white collar industry. So I would say have the right benefits, but I would say also listen to your employees, right? I think sometimes they don't have an open door policy, or they don't take the time to really get to know the employees and listen to them. I think my clients that have the longest term employees go out there and talk to their employees, right? They're actually out there listening to know what they want, what they need. I have a client that walks the floor, again, manufacturing, walks the floor every day and just talks to them. What's going on? What do you guys need? When it comes to renewal time, she literally makes me go and talk to every single employee and ask them what benefits they want. What do you guys want? We're up for renewal. Like, what do you guys want? What's gonna make you guys happy? Like, what do you guys don't like? What don't you guys like? And they'll just like tell me like, we hate this, or we hate this product, or we want this. And so like they have their little wish list. They listen to their employees. They listen to what they want.
So basically, just take care of your people and make sure that they're covered.
Their family life is going to play into their work life, their personal life is. So if you take care of them and their families, I would say a lot of them also do a lot of cool things. I try to help with those things, like doing fun things for the employees, like making sure they feel recognized and acknowledged. Pizza parties, yeah. All kinds of, really.
We hit $2 billion in sales.
Pizza party.
Here's a pizza party.
I try to do more than pizza parties, but
no, yeah, you're
employee
awesome.
recognition, employee involvement, making the culture. I think your company has a really good culture.
Sometimes.
It's up and down, right? But really building the culture of the company and making sure you're taking care of your people, because at the end of the day, those are the people that are going to help your business thrive.
Absolutely.
So.
We try to. I've done my best. Did my best, but it's tough, man. Like, especially in the food and beverage industry. I mean, like, to afford benefits is crazy expensive. But I will say it is extremely worth it if you can afford it. You know what I mean? I think I also think it's like important to have it. I need to get it back. You know, like, because the two restaurant thing, the two restaurants at the same thing kind of put me through it. But having benefits is great. It's kind of the sad part of the U.S. that you need it. You know what I mean?
So it is, but
you need it. It's like
I would say some of the strategies that I put into place are different because I take the time to really analyze the company, and it's like, okay, well, what's like today I had a big meeting just on strategy for the year with one of my bigger clients, and we talked about strategies. What's gonna lead also to more of a cost-effective strategy because they are paying so much in insurance and they know they can't stop paying or not have it. So it's like, okay, now we need to shift into more of a cost-effective strategy. Now we're retaining, we're attracting, but let's now shift to this strategy. So we put strategies in place, but then we evaluate those strategies to make sure that they're working. What may be working at one time doesn't mean that it's going to be working next year. So, and that's one of the downfalls that I see of companies and brokers that don't take care of their clients. They put a strategy in place and they like just leave it on auto renew, and they don't go back in front of the client and say like, well, we put the strategy in place a year ago. Is this working? Is it still working? Do your employees still like it?
Are they actually using it?
Yeah, exactly. Are they even using the plans? Like, and so I take the time to dive deep into what's working, what's not working, what can be changed, and I do it frequently. My account manager tells me all the time, like, she's like, I don't know how the heck you do all this, and you still bring on new clients. And then I go to all my existing clients and like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what can we do better? How can we improve? And so that's a big part for me, is because I want to retain my clients too, is ongoing strategies, right? So obviously I can get strategies to bring clients in, but I want to make sure ongoing I'm providing them as well. So it's always a moving piece in business, and I guess I take joy in learning the trends. Like, I have to learn the trends. The trends are always changing. So I'm like, oh, I heard about this, or I heard about that. So I have to stay up with the trends to help my clients out.
Just like,
yes,
it's like spinning on that. I'm like, that's a lot. Like,
yeah.
But you hit it on the head. Just take care of your people, and that's like kind of the when it comes down to it, is make sure that they can take care of their families. It's one of the most important things. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, I'm fortunate to have good people around me and stuff like that, and it's not being afraid to like put them in position, but also like you can't just put people in position and not give them resources, or train them. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like I need you to learn this. You know what I mean? Like my payroll person, like she's learned a lot, and now I have her learning more and more because like, hey, we might need to go, like if I'm going to keep opening businesses, I'm going to need to probably eventually open up a different entity, and you're going to have to handle that payroll 100%. You know what I'm saying? So you need to learn as much as you can over here so that we can keep growing.
Your person's awesome.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
Most people don't have.
But it's more than just that too. I mean, there's obviously a ton of other moving parts in business and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, for sure, the most important one is what you do. Everything, all the services that you offer is the most important part. It's the weekly headache of having to figure stuff out. So it's nice having the support system there, because I've made my mistakes early on trying to figure it out alone. I mean, I read a lot of laws and like try to make sure that I'm compliant, but again, like if I make a mistake, the government doesn't care if you tried. It's did you or did you not? You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that
it's black and white.
It's black and white. It's not like
no
I'm
gray.
trying. Like, oh, that's what the guy told me the other day. He's like,
You don't
I'm
get
doing my
points for
best. I'm like, no
trying.
one gives a fuck if you're doing your best.
You don't get points for that.
Like you don't get points for that because you're doing your best. Like when you get fucking audited, like you're gonna be crying. I did my best. I'm like, yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
Black and white.
It really is black and
And
white.
I think also like it's hard for me to live in the gray, like because what I deal with is so black and white, and I don't live in the gray. Like these laws are not, they're not gray, right? So people want to be like playing in the gray space, and I'm like, no, you can't play there. You have to really, it's one or the other. So overall, I sleep at night because I'm very mentally tired by the time I get home. So that's how I can sleep. And every day is a challenge. Every day is something new. But that's also what keeps me loving my job. Like I think if I did this monotonous job of like the same thing every day, I would be so bored.
Tired of it.
Yeah, I would be so bored. Like every day's a challenge, everything, it's something new. Speaking of Shannon's always like, oh my gosh, I learned so much on your deals because they're so complex, they're so different. And I'm like, nobody brings me cases like that. I'm like, welcome to my world. I get the hardest cases, or people will get wind of like, oh, I heard you help so-and-so, like, here's another hard case to work on. And I'm like, sometimes I've also now gotten to the point in my career where I have passed on business because I can't help everybody.
No, you can't.
So I really can't. So I am at the point now where I can kind of be more selective on what cases I want to work on and which ones I don't. And I could tell an owner something 100 times, and if they're not going to do it, then I don't want to work with them. So I'm to the point now where I'm like, I don't want to do business with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm in that same boat with dealing with people. You know, I work with business owners. I work with food trucks. I work with startups.
Yeah,
is what I work
exactly.
with. You know, some
Those are
pre-existing.
fun. And you work with millennials startups at that.
Oh yeah,
Those
millennials.
are
Yeah, I'm a
fun.
millennial. I'm an older millennial.
Yeah.
I'm like a kind of. I think I'm an older. I don't know. I don't know the whole numbers.
And now all the new
But-
generation. So like I think probably 2 or 3 years ago was the first time I started having millennial clients.
Wait till
I was
your
like,
kids and my kids become
That
business
was a
owners.
whole
What that's gonna be
nother-
like.
I was not prepared for that. Like that's a hard thing in itself. So
Can't even imagine what my daughters will be like as business owners. Like the type of stuff that they're gonna like. Yeah, I don't know the lingo and the language and all that. I'm like, I don't even. Anyway, they're babies, but still, it's gonna be crazy in the future for
walk
business
in your
owners.
footsteps. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think part of the new wave of business owners of millennials and the Gen Zers that are getting older and stuff like that. I feel like we're seeing it more and more. I don't know the numbers on it, but I feel like there's got to be more entrepreneurs in today's world than there was 20, 30 years ago because of the internet, because of social media, because now everybody's, you know, doing whatever, drop shipping, you know, selling on Instagram and all that stuff to the food truck stuff, right? I mean, there wasn't this many food trucks 20 years ago.
Oh, no.
You know, there wasn't
There's a
this
big
many
boom.
restaurants. You know, it was a massive boom. But yeah.
Big food truck boom. I actually wrote a big
About food trucks?
article about it. Yeah. Just about the food truck boom and how it progressed and how much money can be made in food trucks. And I researched it because I started becoming really well known in food trucks. So I might as well.
It is
research
weird.
it.
I didn't think about that. I got introduced to you through Remedio.
Yeah.
I remember
food
seeing
trucks,
seeing
it's
you
like
at
a niche.
Yeah, I remember seeing you at Camino, but you worked with several food trucks. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I had to learn about every industry that I go into. I have to learn about that industry as much as possible. So I'll start researching it and getting to know that industry. I used to specialize in medical practices. I still have a lot of doctor clients, but that was a big thing for me. So I knew the ins and outs. I still do of medical practices. I do a lot of manufacturing companies. So every industry that I get taken into, like I start learning the ins and outs of that industry. That's why I like to be known as a general consultant. The company I worked for previously wanted to do verticals, what's called verticalization, and I refused to be in a vertical. I'm like, I am not a vertical person.
Like, what is that? Like, stay in one.
You stay in one
and then
industry
you go out from
only.
there.
I think it's the stupidest thing. So for the record, that's dumb. I think they stopped doing it. But so they were trying to pigeonhole me to work with only one or two
sounds
industries.
boring.
It wasn't like that it was boring, but it's like I'm so much smarter than that. Like I have so much more to give to all industries. Like and I can learn every industry inside and out. So
What's your favorite industry?
oh God, that's hard. That's hard. I don't know. I would say not restaurants. It's such a
Definitely
hard.
not.
That's such
If
a
you
hard
ever
industry.
thought about opening a restaurant, don't.
Don't.
This shit is for fucking
They have
psychos.
the highest failure rate.
It's for psychos.
I
It's
will
like,
tell
you're
you
gonna be
my
crazy.
I would tell you my favorite industry is manufacturing still to this day because I get to see products being made. I have seen so many products being made. I've done so many tours of manufacturing facilities, and that is the most interesting part of my job. I had a client in Midland, Odessa that manufactured fiberglass rods, and I got to see raw material being being produced into the toughest rod on the market. I've gotten to see people produce patents on products and prototype products that have really made it big. So I think manufacturing for me is still my favorite, still to this day. And
I really want to learn about manufacturing.
it is
Only because
so interesting, like-
anybody that I've ever met in manufacturing was like a gazillionaire.
Yeah, I would say manufacturing is still for me the most exciting, the funnest industry that I like to work with. But they all have their things that I like, right? Like I love medical practices because doctors are super good at what they do, but they're like not good at admin or back in office. So those are some of the cases like where I have
Or
to
marketing.
clean stuff up or marketing, right? But they're like geniuses and they're like super surgeons or
Of
they're
course, yeah.
right. But everything else is like, oh, I just let. So I think that I love working with doctors too because I love working with smart people, intelligent people, but I love going into those are complex cases and a lot of the times are messy that I have to clean up. So every industry is fun to work with, but manufacturing is always going to be my favorite.
Restaurants are not fun.
Yeah. What?
Restaurants are not fun.
They're not. And it's because there's such a high turnover that I never really get to make friends with. Like, I'm like, where did this person go? They're gone. Where did this person? Oh, they're gone. I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, I don't really regret anything. And I think, like, you know, with, you've seen what I've done. Like, I think a lot of people have seen what I've done. I mean, in such a short amount of time. I mean, Chula opened up in December, and like, look at our brunches. We got like 30, 40 people in line waiting every morning to get into brunch. So it's cool. It's nice to be like proven in the industry that I can make almost anything successful, right? But restaurants are not fun. I'm like looking for the next thing. That's why I asked. I'm like, what should I get into? Like, tell me what to do.
Manufacturing.
Because, like, get into manufacturing. I want to do anything
prototype,
else, but
invent a product, prototype. I know all the prototype experts. I mean,
I will never open up another restaurant unless unless I franchise Perfect Tender or like do some type of deal like that where I have a deal like that where I don't have to do anything. Like, it's just like, here's my brand. I'll promote it for you. I'm never gonna open up another restaurant. It's insane. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
The food industry is crazy. Yeah. So definitely not my favorite. I love working in it still, but it's not. Yeah, for me, like having the back-scene tours that people don't, the hard hat tours that people don't get to do, like, that's fun.
That sounds cool.
So cool.
Okay, of the business owners that you've met in industries, who seems the happiest, consistent? Like, for like, I guess generalize it. If it's like, okay, if it's manufacturing, what owners usually
Who's the
seem the
happiest
who seems the
owner?
less stressed? What owner seems the less stressed?
That's a good question. I would say probably my doctors. My
Doctors are the happiest?
Yeah.
That's because of drugs.
Probably. Who knows?
They could
We got some
prescribe
good
whatever to
drugs.
themselves.
Yeah. I mean, manufacturing also took a toll this last year.
Yeah, in production, I'm sure.
In production. So, and my manufacturing clients were stressed. But I will tell you that a lot of my manufacturing clients are now manufacturing guns and gun parts.
Gun parts, yeah.
Because that's what's selling right now. So they had to switch gears and like, what's selling? Guns are selling. Okay, we're gonna manufacture gun parts. So you got to go with the trends, right? So you got to be able to move. But I don't know. I have a lot of happy clients. It just depends on the time of year. Let's just
True.
say
I know
the
everyone
time
has
of
their ups
year
and
because
downs.
everybody has cycles, right? When they're
Yeah.
doing good, everybody's happy, but they're not so happy when they're doing bad. So cyclical businesses, I don't think I have one that does. Oh, you know what? I would say my tech guys are pretty happy. And there was a big tech boom last year, and the tech port San Antonio is doing big things.
Oh, I'm
now.
sure I'm sure Texas will continue to see a tech boom probably for the next 10 years
The
at
tech
least.
guys are pretty happy.
Yeah.
So there you go. Go into tech. Go into technology.
Go to Mexico. I'm like,
There you
I just want to be successful enough to where I can make enough money to go live somewhere else and
For sure.
hopefully cheaper.
That's my 10-year plan. So
Yeah, you get out of here. So earlier you mentioned to me before we started the show that you were featured in a Bernie magazine. Can you like tell me more about that?
yeah. So I actually just moved to the area. So the owner of Bernie Magazine reached out to me, and it just dropped today. It's barely just circulating, but I'm on the cover of Bernie Magazine. And they were able to showcase my story and really a lot of the things that we just talked about, the struggle, the success, the come up, where I'm at today, and really the title and the main focus of that magazine article is the expertise, right? So I have built my brand, which I built my brand 8 years ago, the PEO Lady, that has really taken off. But behind that brand is the expertise. Like they know that when they're working with the PEO Lady, they're going to get a true expert. And so it just talks about like what I've done to build on that expertise. So when they come to me, they know they're working with an expert. And so it is called the expertise and drive of the PEO Lady.
That's dope.
Stay tuned.
So the cover of Bernie magazine. It sounds fancy. It sounds big. I mean,
When
well,
you
Bernie's
see
a nice
it,
town.
It looks super patriotic. It looks like I'm running for
You like
mayor.
the whole page?
I'm
like,
the whole cover, but it looks like I'm running for mayor or something. Everybody's
You
like,
should.
"Wow, you look so political."
Mayor Abbud,
Yeah, no, I don't want to
the
run.
mayor of Bernie.
Yeah, right. I'm running for mayor of Bernie, guys. No, just
I had
kidding.
shopped a couple spots in Bernie to look at doing a restaurant out there. I'm kind of glad I didn't, but I kind of want to still because I feel like
Bernie's growing big
it's
time.
growing, but it's a very specific clientele out there. You know, it's families and the good old boys. You know,
Definitely.
but it's
Hey,
it's
I'm
all
the
good.
minority over there. So.
You are definitely a minority over there. Yeah.
They're like, "Who's this person?" That
If I
just
went
moved
over
in?"
there, I'd be probably, yeah, I'd stand out for sure. But anyway, Bernie's a real cute town. It's nice. We were shopping for houses out there before when we moved, but I'm glad I didn't because I live I have 3 downtown, so it's like even just living in the north side of San Antonio, it's like 30 minutes, 25 minutes every day, back and forth whenever I go down.
It's a drive for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you got to get us a copy of the magazine so we can get a signature and stuff. But I also want to see it so we can put it up.
Oh,
Send me a PDF.
honestly, the spread is like amazing, and they showcased Engage PEO, my company, like on
That's
every
awesome.
page. So it's gonna hit. We're gonna do a launch party on March 14th, so stay tuned for that. So we're just started, like it literally just dropped today, and I've been so busy I haven't even promoted it. So I'm promoting it now.
Can't wait to check it out.
Behind the scenes, I'm doing all this for businesses, and then I'm working on a magazine
And your own brand.
on my branding. So
that's awesome.
got to keep the brand going.
I don't even know how you do it, man. I'm like stressed out with the businesses, but you basically manage like what 50? How many clients you got?
Right now, 65,
So you basically manage 65 businesses
and all their employees.
and all their employees
Yes.
and their benefits and their all the compliance stuff, and
Everything.
that's insane.
I can't take credit though. I have
You have a team.
a team.
I know you have a team. Yeah, you have a great team.
Yeah.
But still, even just onboarding 65 businesses is insane. Knowing what you had to go through for mine, right, and my businesses, because I have 4, I have 4, and I have however many employees I have. But you do that for 65 other ones in bigger companies. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
That-
And every owner, I mean, entrepreneurs are crazy. So every owner has something they want done or some crazy idea that I'm like,
On the 1 through 10 craziness, where do I land on all your clients?
you're totally like a 5.
A 5. All right,
You're
cool.
nowhere near my crazies that are on the 10
take it.
level. Nowhere.
I was expecting 7, 8. But
You're
5
very
is cool.
level-headed.
I try to be. I try to
yeah.
be sometimes.
You're very humble, level-headed. I have some really, really, but I mean, obviously, those crazy minds is like what builds these like amazing businesses sometimes, and they have that entrepreneur mindset. They're always thinking of a new business idea, and they want to call me for every single one of them. Like,
I agree, but I also think that like I don't know. I mean, when I see all the not to get even into the politics
on a
side
scale
of it,
of 1 to 10.
I think that some dudes, and I say guys specifically, is like when they're over the top assholes. You know what I mean? Like that's where I try, because I'm an asshole. Like sometimes, right? I can be very blunt and tell you how I feel about something, but it's not like uncalled for. It's not like randomly like just being crazy or randomly being a jerk. You know what I mean? And then blaming like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just that's how I'm wired, right? Like I'm aggressive. I'm an alpha male. You know what I mean? Like
That's what you get.
I didn't do my cold plunge this morning. I'm upset. Whatever. But
That's actually really funny.
are those the types of guys you run into sometimes? I'm sure you do.
Sometimes, yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, my clients can be very, very crazy. So
Yeah, we're all a little.
it's hard to harness those. I mean, and then with that, like a lot of entrepreneurs are very ADD, they're OCD, they're all over the place. Sometimes I have to like reel them in, like, okay, let's focus one thing at a time. Like, so you're very mild.
I've tried to tone down on that because I was
Yeah.
there early on. Like when I started in business, I was all over the place. I'd be sleeping and then like you're trying to go to sleep and you're just thinking about 30 other business ideas. Now I'm like, I think the last thing I want to do is open another business. I still a little bit here and there. I'm like, I might want to get into this, get into that. I'm trying to figure out what the next industry I'm going to go into is. I'd like to do something in medical, not like I mean, I'd like to own my own clinic and then hire under it somebody to run it and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
that's
like
a great
in the
idea.
weight loss stuff or the
Yeah.
testosterone. I mean,
That's
because
a good idea.
I've actually been reading a lot about it and learning how I
booming,
can.
that's
Yeah, it's
what we do.
booming. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, because I don't know, bars and stuff like that. It's cool, but like, okay, it's either gonna be real estate or it's gonna be, or maybe both. Who knows? But I used to be like that earlier on, where it's just like constant ideas, things are flowing. It's like you're always like, I'm doing this. Let me do this now. Let me open up 5 more trucks. Let me do 2 restaurants. And I think once you like get your ass handed to you a little bit and get humbled, it's like it's a lot easier to like you know what? Let me take a step back. Let me tone it down a little bit because I can't afford all the headaches that opening businesses brings. But anyway, thank you for coming out to my show. We got to do it again sometime.
For sure.
I appreciate sharing the stories and stuff like that, and being like the real you. You know what I mean? Like I know it's the gray area is like okay, like you're on the socials and stuff like that. I mean, you have to sell the product. You know what I mean? Like sell the services and stuff, right?
Yep.
But I know you enough to know like that there's a lot more to you than just like, hey, I do employee benefits and, let me sell you these products and stuff. I mean, like I told you, you've been a huge help to me, my family, and my business. So thank you for all of that.
you.
And I'll continue to, refer you any chance I get. I'll try not to send you fucking idiots. Sorry. So I try not to send you the dumb business owners that ain't gonna listen anyway.
Yeah, for
but you can't always. I can't promise you that they're gonna do.
It's all good. I'll
They're not
take
gonna
the
do. They're gonna
referrals.
do what you tell them to do.
I'll take the referrals. I'll weed them out later.
Yeah, I'll let you figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much, Ricky, for having me, and I look forward to many years working with you. So thank you.
Thank you. So tell everyone where they can find you, all your social media stuff, YouTube, all that.
Yeah, so I have my business pages on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and they're all under the PEO Lady. So my name is Blanca Abbud, and my handle is at the PEO Lady. I also have a YouTube channel, which is the PEO Lady, but my name is Blanca Abbud, so you can search it either way, or the PEO Lady, and it'll come.
Google her.
So just Google me, and you'll see all my pages and all my videos.
This has been another episode of the Hunger for More podcast. I'm Ricky Ortiz. Please follow us on all the social media platforms and subscribe on YouTube.
Chill.